Hi guys, it's Erin Faree of Brand Style Design, branding coach and design genius. So here we are at the very first edition of my live stream zine. I know we started out a little rocky with a few technical difficulties, so thank you to the people who are still here, and I really appreciate a shout out if you can hear me. I want to make sure that everything is ironed out now and that everything is working. So just typing a little note in, seeing if people can hear me now. So, yay! Hi Kit, I'm glad you can hear me. I'm glad I'm finally getting out. Sometimes this technical stuff is a little squirrely. So again, welcome to the very first edition of my streaming e-zine. I'm going to be doing this once a month, and I promise I will get better at the technical stuff. And today we're going to talk about fresh ideas for your brand to make it more engaging and inviting and really more interesting. So we're going to talk about how you get them, signs it's time to have them, some easy ideas you can implement, and really go deep into this topic of fresh ideas. So I'd love to know, for the people who are here, what kinds of signs that you're seeing now that may mean that you need to have some fresh ideas put into your brand. So that's going to be the topic of conversation in the chat for the moment. And for those of you tuning in later at home, just think about a few of those ideas while I kind of launch into the first part of this newsletter format. Well, you know how in a standard newsletter, there's always that little update part at the beginning? Well, I wanted to do that in the live and streaming version as well. So I wanted to say, hi, how are you? Like, how's it been going in your business? How is 2012? Is it delicious? Is it fascinating? Is it fabulous? Or is it getting off to a little bit of a slow start? You know, I've had a mix of both, you know, slow days, fast days. It's very interesting, very intriguing. And I usually do a little personal update. So the personal update I wanted to share with you this week is I am very thrilled that I get to take a day this weekend and I get to really cook. See, cooking is one of my passions, and I haven't had a chance to do it a lot lately because, well, I've been busy. I've been doing stuff. And so this Saturday, I've carved out an entire day, and I'm going to make Japanese-style ramen from scratch. I have turkey carcasses in my freezer left over from Christmas. I have pork bones waiting to be turned into broth. I have all the ingredients to really do it up right, the long, slow, like really home-cooked way. So that's really what I'm most looking forward to. I'm gonna, just take the whole day and really enjoy it, like enjoy chopping the vegetables and enjoy cooking the stock down and flavoring it up and getting all the toppings ready. And I just can't wait. I just can't wait. So that's what's going on in this corner of the universe. I'm having my little ramen party. And I hope that you're going to do something super fun this weekend as well. It's so easy as entrepreneurs to just kind of work through the weekends or to have the same weekend all the time where you're running errands or doing chores. So I hope you have a chance to carve out some time to do something special for yourself. So on to the topic at hand, diving deep into fresh branding ideas. Let me grab my notes here so I can address them. So the first thing I promised you was signs that it's time to freshen up your brand. How can you tell? Like, how can you tell if it's time, if it's not time, if you've waited long enough, if your clients are ready? Well, here are some of the clues that I typically see. The first is that your engagement has dropped down. Like, people aren't responding so much to your blog posts. They're not replying to your newsletter. They're not showing up for your calls. They're not engaging with you. They're not listening to your recordings or getting your free gift. If engagement has dropped off, then that is a good sign that whatever you're talking about in your brand probably needs to be freshened up a little bit. You know, you got to think about what they really want now, what your clients really want and need. Then there's if you've changed your positioning in any way. By positioning, I mean, what your brand is really all about. It's, the who you are of your brand, your personality. It's what you do, like what services you offer. It's what makes you different from your competition. And it's really who you're working with. So if you've changed any of those elements, it's time to freshen up your brand to match that, to reflect that, so that your brand is accurate and so that it's portraying you in an accurate way. There's also, the other sign is if you've been left behind. You were doing something that everybody else was doing, and all of a sudden you look around and they're not doing it anymore. Well, that's a sign that either it wasn't working for them, that something new and hot is out there, or that it's just kind of time to move along. We saw a lot of this in the video revolution. A lot of people were still doing just audio, and then all of a sudden there was video everywhere. And yeah, there were some people who intentionally sat that video trend out and who are still sitting that video trend out. But that's a choice to make. You got to be able to make that choice in an informed way. So you have to know, how easy it is, all the different formats of video that are available, what you can really do in your brand with it, so that you can choose, are you sitting out because you're not a camera person, you don't want to be on camera, or because the technology makes you nervous, because you're afraid of technological snafus like the one I had today? Or are you sitting it out because you've made a choice that that's not the way you want your brand to go? So, just a little food for thought there. Another sign that it's time to change your brand is that you or your viewpoint has changed or evolved. You've learned something new. You've had a new major experience that has changed the way you do business. Or even you just had a small bundle of experiences that have changed you over time. In any case, that means it's time to freshen things up. And then the final thing to look for is trends. Trends can be anything. They can be message-based. A while ago, people weren't really taking stands and having bigger missions and all that sort of thing. They were doing more of a how-to sort of marketing. But now it's taking stands and having big missions and really having a huge message to get out into the world. There's visual trends. A few years ago, all the websites were dark and patterned and all that sort of thing, and now they're getting lighter and brighter and whiter. So keeping ahead of those visual trends. And technological trends. Live stream. Guess what? It's a trend. And then there's industry-wide trends, things that are going on in your industry right now, different thought leaders coming into it, and just changing the face of how your industry works and how things are going. So those are signs that that it's time to change your brand. Another sign is what I call the 3-year sign. Now, this will vary based on your industry, but I work a lot with coaches in the coaching industry, obviously, and what I see is that about every 3 years, something big changes. There are new big players that everybody is being inspired by. There are things that coaching clients have gotten fed up with and that need to improve and change. There's just, everybody refreshes their site about once every 3 years, so it's time to, refresh yours. So if it's been more than about 3 years and you're in the coaching industry, it's probably time to change your brand. Now, if you're in a different industry, you'll have to look out for your industry's kind of timeline and see what's going on there, like what that means for you. But in the coaching industry, about every 3 years, it's probably time to look at freshening things up. The final thing I wanted to say in this section is signs that it's not time to change your brand. And that is if you are the only one who is bored of it. I call this entrepreneurial boredom. It is a real syndrome. It's very serious. And what it means is that you see your brand a lot. You interact with it a lot. You are forming it, you're writing it, you're designing it, you're creating it, you're in there with people making it. you give it a lot of time and attention. So naturally, after seeing it again and again and again and again, you're going to get bored of it. That's just the way that we work. I mean, we like new and different things, right? So if you are in this situation and all of your clients are still engaged and things are going great and you've got people coming into your business and everything else, then take a deep breath, settle down, and enjoy the boredom. Boredom is a sign that you can take your existing brand deeper, that you can really develop your thought leadership, that you can really create a richer experience for your clients, that you can spend the time and the attention on going deeper into the details of your brand and not on reinventing the whole thing. So if you're just a little bored, settle down. It'll be okay. I promise. But if you see the other signs, then you can sigh a big sigh of relief and say finally, and start getting to freshening things up. So what signs have you seen in your brand that you are feeling like it's time to freshen it up? And if you've got any signs outside of the ones I named, I would love to hear them. I would love to know what you're experiencing and what you're going through. Because really, this is just what I've seen with my clients. I know there's a world of possibilities out there, and I'm always intrigued. I'd always like to know. So, the second thing we're going to talk about today is the intersection between what you can and can't change in your brand and how to know where that lies. And really what you can and can't change without making your clients freak out or run for the hills. Because we've all seen this, right? Where somebody changes their brand, like a couple years ago, The Gap. They changed their brand and everybody freaked out. They were very attached to that brand. The new brand was not up to their standards. It was not working for, the public at large. And there was a huge outcry about the new brand. I mean, who would have thought? It's just a new brand, guys. It's just a new logo, but it's so much more than that. So you don't want to make your clients freak out. It's not as likely that you're going to have a huge public outcry. I mean, you're not a major corporation. And your clients freaking out can look much more subtle. It can look like them dropping off your mailing list. It can look like them wanting to get out of their contracts or not renewing or just stopping signing up for your classes or just kind of dropping away, dropping off, or just feeling more uncomfortable with the decisions that you're making. If you're a service provider, they might fight back a little bit against your advice, against what you're doing for them. They might have more questions or just feel more hesitant. And we don't want that. We want our clients fully engaged and playing with us and on board, right? So this is where I'm going to talk about the two circles of branding. There's innovation and there's comfort. And picture them like a Venn diagram. And so innovation on the one side, comfort on the other. And then in the middle where they intersect is interest. The way this works is that you want to have enough innovative stuff in your brand that your clients aren't bored, that they don't feel like you're giving them, 101 level information when they're at, more advanced level. So that they feel like they're learning something new and that your information is relevant and interesting. But at the same time, you don't want to be throwing them into the deep end all the time with new ideas and crazy things. You want to keep them comfortable. I mean, humans have a basic need for comfort. They need to feel like they know what's going on. They understand the process. They get it. Like they're not lost all the time. And that's part of what I mean by comfort. The other part of comfort that I mean is that you're acting like a host. That you're, welcoming them in, showing them around, showing them the ropes, as opposed to just kind of throwing all this information at them, which is really easy to do with innovative stuff. So when you intersect those two in a really nice and really beautiful way, that's when you get interest. Because people feel like you're giving them this new stuff. It's really good, it's really entertaining, it's firing up their minds and sparking their thoughts. And at the same time, they feel comfortable enough to keep going with you, to keep going deeper, to keep learning more. So think about how big that intersection is for you. You know, how much innovation can your brand tolerate? Can your brand stand? And really, if you've been kind of doing the same old for a while, the amount of innovation that you can stand might need to ramp up over time. It might need to take some time to grow, as opposed to, you know, out of the gate, super innovative, crazy stuff. I mean, that's going to make your clients uncomfortable. They've been kind of used to the same messages and the same stuff from you. They've made themselves at home in your information. So, how much innovation can you stand? How much comfort do your clients want? You know, if they are more adventuresome, they might not need as much comfort as if they're a beginner and they're really uncomfortable with the information and they need to learn more and have a greater level of comfort. The other question is, how much comfort do you want to provide? And this is a question that I added recently after talking to Darla Ledoux of Align and Profit, and her website is alignandprofit.com. I was on her telesummit a couple of weeks ago and talking about this whole idea of comfort in your brand, and she had a very interesting point. She said that in her business, it's her job to make her clients go outside of their comfort zone and stretch outside of their comfort zone and become uncomfortable. Like, she really wants, when they come to work with her, she wants them to be uncomfortable for a while. And I thought that was really intriguing, because the level of comfort is not only based on what your clients need, but it's based on what you know to be good for them, what you prescribe for them to get them to the results they need. So if they need to be uncomfortable in the beginning of working with you or somewhere throughout the process, make them uncomfortable. Just make them the right amount of uncomfortable. And be aware of that level of discomfort that you're trying to create. Create it intentionally, not by accident. That's what I'm trying to say. So, think about those three questions. How much innovation can your brand stand? How much comfort do your clients want? And how much comfort do you want to provide? So, on the practical side of this, what can you change and what can't you change question on your brand? You know, I know that part of the answer was a little heady. It's, you know, more of a food for thought kind of answer. So, on the practical side, here's a checklist of things that you can look at in your brand when you feel like it's time to freshen it up. And, you know, think about these things on both a macro scale and a micro scale. What I mean by that is, in each of these categories, as you'll see, you could either, you know, throw everything in that category out in your brand and start over, or you can look at it and incrementally improve it. Make little changes, do small things. Which of these is the right answer is going to depend on how much time, money, and energy you want to invest in freshening up your brand. You know, if you just want a little quick injection of interest, then doing something on the micro scale will probably work for you. You know, you can totally generate a lot of interest by doing something small. However, if you really feel like your brand has gotten stale, or if you've made a big change in your position or in the way that you're thinking about your brand, it might be time for a macro reinvention where you really throw the whole thing out and start over. Another way to tell if you're ready for macro or micro is really based on the level of kind of establishment that you have with your clients. Like, how established are you in their minds? How attached are they to your message, to your look, to all your stuff, to your brand? Because the more attached they are, the harder it's going to be to do a macro transition with ease. They're going to get uncomfortable, and just like we saw with the Gap, freak out. We don't want them to freak out. No freaking. So, here's that checklist that I promised you. We've got your message. Of course your message can change. You know, everything you're talking about, the way you're talking about it, the down to the copy on your homepage or your headlines. I mean, that's a micro change you can make, really. So, what is your message? If your message has gone through a major reinvention, then you've got some writing to do. But if it's really just kind of freshening it up and modernizing it a little bit, maybe adding some stories or adding some humor or adding some more real world language, those are all more micro changes and micro possibilities. Then there's your designs, the look and design of your logo, of your website, of your business cards, of everything else you have. So, how can you change your look? Well, again, micro, macro. So just really think about how detailed you want that change to be, how much you want to change, and how thorough of a job you want to do in changing it. There's the level of sophistication in your offerings. If you have only offered high-end programs, you could freshen things up by offering some low-end stuff, making your stuff more available. If you've only offered group programs, you could freshen things up by offering some one-on-one, which gives you the benefit of getting in there in the trenches one-on-one with your clients and really having a greater depth of information to learn from them, to experience with them. Excuse me, pardon me. So there's the emotion behind how you deliver your brand. That's the fourth thing. We've got message, designs, sophistication of your offerings, and now emotion. If you've previously been talking in a very serious way, do a promotion that's fun. Just interject some energy into it. If you've been really excited and telling people about all of your excitement, switch things around and get curious about what's going on for them. Start asking more questions. There's the experience of working with you. You can really do a lot for your brand by improving the experience of working with you, making it more comfortable, more innovative, more thought-provoking, more personal. So think about how you could stretch and extend your brand and freshen it up by a better experience. And then there's your thought leadership. That shiny free report that you worked and slaved over a couple of years ago and you were so proud of then? Have you looked at it in the last little while? Well, there's a good chance that some of the information in there is dated, or that at least your thinking has expanded from where that report was written from. So you can really up-level your thought leadership. Stop writing the same old, same old. Start looking for innovative concepts, interesting concepts. And in just a minute here, I'll give you a few ways to do that. And then finally, there's technology, obviously, always. So keep an eye out on the horizon for new technology things. One of the biggest things that I've seen lately is Apple today announced that they are now making the iBook Creator for textbooks free. And these are textbooks that you can very easily create. It looks like a very simple interface. You can make them gorgeous, and then anybody can get them in the textbook store from Apple. You can charge for them or they can be free, and really go through this more interactive book-like experience. I'm definitely going to be checking that out because it seems really, really fresh, really new, and really engaging, really interesting. So keep an eye on technology. The next thing we're going to talk about is the special mix of qualities you've got to have when you're freshening up your brand. The first is the ingenuity to come up with a fresh idea. You want to be able to really generate a bunch of new ideas and then sort through them and sift through them with some data from your clients and from the industry and from experts and what's working, what's not, so that you can figure out what ideas are going to stick. I posted about one way to do this, rapid prototyping. Yeah, that's a manufacturing term, but how could you use rapid prototyping in your brand? How quickly can you get a new idea from your brain into your blog and then get it out to specific people who need to read it, get feedback on it, and see if it's any good or not before you launch a whole program or create a whole series or a free preview call or whatever you're going to do with it. Like, how can you rapidly get that out to people to get their feedback? So I was posting that, and one of my friends on Facebook said, hey, that's kind of like throwing the spaghetti against the wall to see if it'll stick. So yeah, you need a wall to throw the spaghetti against. Check it out. Then once you've got this idea, you need the bravery to launch it into the world. I mean, it's one thing to come up with a new idea and a totally different thing to get that idea from your brain into the world, out in front of people. I mean, a lot of new ideas can be a little scary to launch. It's like, will people like it? Will people show up? Will people understand it? How do we do that? So be brave. Be really, really brave. Your ideas need it. Your brand needs it. Your brand needs you to take a stand for it and to stand up for it. Finally, there's the finesse to introduce that new idea in a way that doesn't freak your clients out. You really want to kind of warn them about what's happening. You don't just want to flip your website over to a whole new look and whole new message overnight and not warn your clients and your mailing list that you've made a change. You want to ease them into it. Let them know what's happening, let them know what's coming, give them a sneak preview, let them in the secret club, the VIP club, and really do it gently. Welcome them in gently to your new thinking, because you're very excited about it. They may have a little more trepidation. And then the last thing we're going to talk about today is easy ideas to freshen up your brand without throwing out what you've already got and what you've already invested in, because that is a terrible feeling, to just kind of say, okay, all this brand out. So here are some of the ways that I help my clients look at freshening up their brand without giving up what they've already done, what they've already made. I'm going to grab a quick sip of water before I reveal them. All right. The first method is called juice the orange. It's a term that my friend Kay White introduced me to of Way Forward Communications. And really what this means is, you have all this material in your business. You've been creating stuff. So really going back and looking at the stuff you already have and getting as much juice as you possibly can out of it. Do you offer a free report that has been really popular and gone over really well? Well, why aren't you doing a free call on that and a teleseminar series to take it deeper and a consultation on it, like a paid consultation on it? Why not use that one topic and get as much as you possibly can out of it? Reuse it, reuse it, reuse it. Just like when you're preparing an orange for a salad, you cut the segments out and then you have them all pretty for the salad, and then you have this kind of pith, like all the pith and all the other stuff from the orange, and you squeeze that and you juice that to get the most flavor out possible. So that's what you're doing there. There is what I call the blast from the past. Digging around in your archives, old blog posts, old stuff that you put out, for stuff that's still relevant but that you didn't get as much as you could have out of. Stuff that once you read it now, with all the experience that you have now, you can see how you could take it deeper, freshen it up, how it applies with this other new idea that you have or in this new course that you're offering. Really dig through and see what you can already harvest out of stuff that you've already created. The next idea is the small and good. Not small but good, small and good. Sometimes making a tiny new thing, like a sidebar image for your website, or a little headline change, a one-page freebie, a new blog post, a short and awesome video, and then really taking the time and attention to get that out there far and wide and spread the message is all it takes to freshen things up in your brand. So look at something small that you could do now, that you could do easily, and just do it and get it out there. See what happens. Another idea is to start with thought leadership. As far as the easy and inexpensive goes, this is the cheapest there is. You think, you write, you speak, you do a recording, you make a video, something with your thinking. And it doesn't have to be fancy, it just has to have a really good thought behind it. So how can you modernize your thinking? The next thing is called the cozy up. It is, how do you get closer and more comfortable with your clients or your affiliates? How do you really make the most of those relationships and make everybody feel more comfortable so that you can freshen things up through the power of partnership and relationship? The next thing is called the quick change. What can you change quickly and easily? A good example of this is if you have a WordPress website. If it's been built well, if it's got a solid construction, then you should be able to change the template out really quickly and really easily. So you could feasibly redesign your entire website in just a couple of hours. I did this last night for a client. She had an old website. It was, designed on WordPress probably in about 2008. And it was starting to look a little tired around the edges. It had gotten a little past that 3-year rule. So I hopped in there and freshened it all up. About an hour and a half later, she had a whole new look, a whole fresh look, modern, gorgeous, and updated. So what can you change quickly? And how quickly can you change it? The last one I'm going to talk about today is called the mashup. And this is a music term where you take two songs that don't seem to go together at all, and the backbeat, the beat in the background is so similar that they wind up weaving together beautifully to create something that's the best of both songs, or really head-turning or interesting. And so how can you take two concepts and mash them up? Like, that's what I'm doing here today with the stream zine. E-zines, a little tired, a little boring. Live streaming, fresh and new. So mashing them together into a stream zine, very interesting. Then I'm going to juice the orange after that and use this recording and get all sorts of content out of it and really be able to maximize the freshness of this format to get as much as possible out of it. So those are some ways that you can generate quick and easy and inexpensive ideas. Now, if you want to learn to generate your own ideas and really look at these models, as well as I've got about 15 others, just I don't have time to share them all today. But if you want to look at how to generate your own ideas, how to use these models, and how to really freshen up your brand, like go through this process of ingenuity, bravery, and finesse to freshen up your brand without freaking your clients out, then I'd love to invite you to my upcoming mini workshop. It's called Fresh, Hot, New Ideas for Your Brand. And really what we're going to do is we're going to go through the 3 kind of characteristics that you need in your brand. We're going to go through the ingenuity of generating fresh and fantastic ideas, where we're going to talk about the levels of freshness for your brand and how to tell which kind of refresh you need to do now to get the attention that you crave. We're going to talk about my system for dreaming up your own hot new ideas. Even if you're not creative, I mean, a lot of these 15 ideas, you don't need a whole lot of creativity to make it work. You just need good resources. I'll let you in on all my secret hot, fresh idea sites and resources, so you can check those out. And then where to look for inspiration when yours is running dry. I've got some, tried and true places, and then some kind of wacky off the wall places that most people are definitely not looking. Next, we've got the bravery portion of our class. It's why you shouldn't be scared about launching your new idea, and really, if you are scared and if you do have the fear, how to get over it. Like how to test things and try them out and try things on a smaller scale and do rapid prototyping and all these sorts of things that can really help boost the feeling that you have about this new fresh thing that you're doing with your brand. Like make you feel like, yeah, it's definitely got to get out there. We're going to talk about how exactly to tell if your idea is a good one, a few different approaches that you can take for that. And by the way, the approaches are completely free. There is no, paying people to tell if your idea is good or anything like that. And then what to do if nervousness sets in and how to prepare yourself for it, how to steel yourself for kind of the after the launch nerves. Like there's that moment when you send your fresh idea out into the world and then you kind of wonder like what's going to happen. So how to get ready for that, what to do, what to expect, and how to weather that with grace and ease. And then the final class is going to be on finesse, not freaking your clients out. So when and how often you can get away with launching new ideas in your brand. How often can you do that? I wrote this class because last year I was the queen of brand reinvention and brand refreshing. I think I came up with about 6 new concepts for my brand and got them out into the world and tested them and tried them and learned a lot about what you can and can't do, what works and what doesn't work, and I want to share that with you. How to add fresh ideas into your brand without breaking your clients' trust. Like, what is that process for launching and introing the new idea and revealing it to people so that they feel like they've been brought along on the process, so that they feel like they know what's going on? And then how to make your new direction seem natural instead of kind of having a case of, and now for something completely different, to borrow a line from Monty Python. You don't want people to feel like they just woke up one day and you had lost it and you had changed everything on them and they don't get it. So how do you do that? What do you do? How do you make sure that your clients feel like this is a treat for them that you're changing? This is in their best interest, that they want this, and that they are more fired up than ever to work with you because of this change instead of running for the hills. So we're going to do this in a 3-part, quick, short, sweet, and simple teleclass. It's going to be on the phone, no technical difficulties for us. And the course dates are going to be January 31st, February 2nd, and February 8th. All of the classes are going to be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Pacific time, and of course they will be recorded because I am so cool like that. The course is only $99. So fresh, hot ideas, a whole system to come up with them, all of these new ways to freshen up your brand, what you can and can't do, and only 99 bucks. And by the second week in February, you're going to have everything you need to reinvigorate, re-inspire, and refresh your brand. So I hope that you've enjoyed the inaugural edition of the Stream Zine. That is what's going on around here. I'd love it if you'd stop by my Facebook page and tell me what's going on with you. The link for the course is www.brandstyledesign.com/fresh. So again, www.brandstyledesign.com/fresh. That's FRESH. So that link will probably be somewhere around this video every time you see it. So just click on that and sign up for the class. I would love to have you there, and I can't wait to show you even more ideas and even more ways to freshen up your brand and how to do it with care and ease and loveliness. Thanks, and have a fabulous, wonderful, gorgeous, and beautiful day.